Now we're ready to go ahead and cut out our embelly. So you can see Design Space on the left and my actual Cricut Joy on the right. And I'm going to go ahead and say, make it. And Design Space is going to think, and it's going to want what's going to go on the bottom. What's my crust? What's the bottom? And I'm going to use this one. So this is going to go right here. And this is cut at 4.5 by 6. Okay, so it fits right on. I'm going to make sure my mat's good and stuck. And I'm going to come over here and say continue. And it's going to think a little bit, making sure it can connect to my Joy, which it can. Still thinking. And I'm going to call this medium cardstock. This is Stampin' Up! Designer Series paper, but cutting it on medium cardstock works great. I'm going to let, now it just goes in and makes sure that it has paper big enough for what I want, and I do. So now it's happy. Look over here. It's got the fine point blade. Yes, it does. And it tells me click go right here. Now Joy's going to think about it, and it's going to do the cutting. In the meantime, this is my card base. This started out to be 8.5. You can see what it's going to do. 8.5 by 11. I cut it in half, and I'm going to score it at 4.25. Meantime, Cricut's doing the work over here. I'm getting this ready for my pieces to go on when they're done getting cut. Okay, so there's layer number 1. I'm going to tell Cricut, go ahead and unload it. This is what's left over. And this is actually the base. This is my crust, okay? So this is going to go right here on my card, okay? We'll stick that down in a minute while we let number 2 cut. This layer is also going to be medium cardstock, but notice it's the white layer, the layer I said was crust. I'm going to put this down. This is a scrap piece, and this is 4.25, but it's going to be okay. Make sure I have a good stickiness. Let that load in there. Now, if you notice, it's going to go ahead and cut. It's going to show you in a minute. It's going to cut the 2 white layers. See where it's going? And I can double check to make sure that even though this is a little bit smaller, am I okay? And I am. I'm going to say go. And I'm going to let it go ahead and cut that. While it's doing that, I'm going to stick this down. Now I can also use ink on the edges of this if I want. I didn't on this one, but let me just, so we'll show you with ink and without. Get this where we want it. Okay, now we're going to unload. Okay. So we have this piece, and that's going to go right there. And then this is what I'm going to stamp on. Next, it wants, remember I talked about pepperoni and mozzarella. I'm going to go with pepperoni next, which is going to be this one. The one thing you will notice as you use the Joy, you tend to be cutting on a smaller matte surface. I think I go through more mattes, but I love that I can just do this one. Now, if you're going to mass produce, I am not a mass producer. Oh, also look over here at the screen for a minute. And I can tell, since I'm always using the same paper on my cards, if I tell Cricut, remember the settings, I don't have to set it under each one. I can, but I don't have to. So next time it's going to remember that I like medium cardstock for my setting, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and say go. You notice I do this. I want to make sure that it's good and stuck. but it's right here in front of me, so it's super easy to do. I'm just sitting at my desk. I'm not hopping up to go get a machine. And then I unload. This also works really well with the app on your phone. There's that. And last but not least, we have this one. And this is the top layer. I'm using all the same shades. This is from, I will forget its name, hold on. Hello, Irresistible. It's one of the specials this month. Now notice this time Design Space remembered what I wanted for material setting, so it's just going to go there and it's not going to ask me. It's set at medium cardstock and I just click go. So that saves a few steps if you remember to tell it, as long as you're using the same thing. And it's going to go ahead and think. And we're all done. And I say unload. What I love about working with a simple Embelly is that I really don't have to think. Cricut does all the work for me. I'm trying to stop using all of these. I just want one. Stop it. There. Goodness, I had to tell it a few times because I didn't know what to say. So now, that's that last piece. Now we can put this all together. Okay? So we have this down. I'm going to put this along the edge. And this whole card will look totally different if I am using different paper, different stamp sets. Okay, there's that. And now, how do these go together? Well, if you can't remember, you can always go back in and look at your image in Design Space. Let me show you. We can come back over here. We can say done. And it will go back to the beginning and you can remember. Oh, yeah, that's what it looked like. And that's how I wanted it to go. Okay, so then this goes down right here, right? And then this goes right here. But I want a little bit more distinction between this and this. So I'm going to grab one of my sponges, and I'm using Smoky Slate. And I'm going to take this, and I'm just going to give the edge a little oomph-a-doomph here. Give them a little something. And it doesn't look really dramatic, but when I put it down, you're going to see what it did to just ink the edge of this. You don't have to. If you are not an inky person, which you've heard me talk about this before, I did not like to ink things. I didn't like to get messy, but I've discovered that I can use these tools and I don't have to get messy. And a little bit of, I could have also used totally different colors. I didn't have to use these all from the same family, but I like the way that looks. I am kind of a matchy-matchy person. So there's that. This little piece needs to get a little more adhesive right on the edge. Whoops, move over where you belong. There. Okay, now I'm ready for this one. I'm going to use my ink again, but I'm also going to use some dimensionals. So I'm going to go along the edge here. Whoops, I went the wrong way. This way. Again, super simple, super quick, but really adds so much to your card. So you just grab the package of Stampin' Daubers. I'll show you what they look like. They come in a pack like this. You get sponge daubers, you get 5 of them. So I do ones for different colors, and then I just save them, and I line them up so I can grab them when I need them. I'm going to go with dimensionals on the back here because I want this to kind of pop up a little. Again, give my card some, well, dimension. And put you at the bottom. Okay, now we'll stick this down. And then I'm ready to stamp my sentiment, which I haven't figured out what it's going to say yet. And I'll show you how you figure out what sentiment you can use. Whoops, come here. And then this is going to go right here. This is the kind of card that you might have been able to get without a simple, but I'm telling you, the Cricut and the SVG just makes this so much better. So there's your embelly on your card front now. Now a couple of things I could have done. I could have some other paper back here if I wanted. I could have put a backing behind the whole thing. This is going to go right here. I could do a stamp in here if I wanted. I could have run this through an embossing folder to give it a little something. I'm going to stick with just this. So I'm going to go ahead and ink the edge of this. Then I got to figure out what it's going to say. So let's do this. And I'm going to show you how you figure out what fits on here. This is a 2-inch space, I told you. Now, if I knew for sure I had a sentiment that I really wanted, I could have measured that before I put this down. So this is from, hold on, I'm getting it. This is from Sentimental Park. So how does this work? What if I do thinking of? That would work. Thanks would work. I'm going to go with thanks because I like that. And I need, come here. And I'm just going to use my smoky slate, right? And I'm going to go ahead and put that down. There's that. Looks cool. I could also take some of these flowers and add those across the top if I wanted. Those might look kind of cool. Because I don't want to get my desk dirty. I'm going to grab my little piece of acrylic here. It's a thing. I can't think of its name right now. Acrylic mat. That's what I wanted. And I'm going to grab these flowers because they're not going to go on the whole thing. They're going to go on part of it. And I am going to use some, let's go with Flirty Flamingo to add just a little color. And a little Flirty Flamingo. This is still from that same Sentimental Park. And I'm just going to go across the top. And we are good to go. Close these back up. I'm going to put this on with some dimensionals too, because I want this to pop up. And I could grab some twine or some ribbon and add that to it as well. But I'm going to stick with simple right now. Let me show you. So this takes it from an Embelly SVG to an actual card. And you can see why I love them, right? So instead of just being, oh, that's a card, now you've got layers and dimension and detail that you can't get without a Cricut SVG cut. Well, you probably can, but it would be complicated. So let's try, I will try a few more of these and show you the same card design with other options. But this is the Embelly for tonight. This is using Sentimental Park stamp set, and it's using Hello Irresistible Designer Series paper. Okay, see you soon.